welcome to our YouTube channel today. My name is Scott Mendenhall. I'm so glad you are with us today. We're talking about a snow day and the boosted board. We're going to talk only a little bit about the boosted board today. If you're wondering what time of year it is spring here. It is April 16th, 2018. Spring and winter are fighting. It is a battle, and spring just cannot win yet. And so yesterday, since it was snowing all day and blizzard conditions and the city was shut down, I shot a video all about customizing that boosted board. One of the first things we need is a boosted board. Good luck. Thanks a lot. Which that video will play later on this week. We just are doing life in the tundra. We are also, besides raising children in the tundra of Minnesota, we also are pastors. We have started a church with an amazing team. What are we doing on this snow day?
We are making pancakes.
Baking pancakes, making bacon pancakes. Take some bacon and I'll put it in a pancake.
Seriously, there's nothing like a snow day because you get pancakes in the morning. This is not a usual thing, but because there's a pause in the day, an unexpected thing happened today, we get pancakes. We're gonna tell a story and we're gonna leverage the unexpected things in life and how do we handle them. And yes, we're gonna pull the story from an ancient book, an old text wrote thousands of years ago. But I hope that the story relates to us today, that gives us an opportunity to go, oh, that's what I do when change happens or things that are unexpected happen. I'm gonna finish my breakfast and then we've gotta get outside, and I'm only delaying the inevitable, really. First lesson of the day comes with this guy. What happened, Spy?
I burned myself.
How did you do? You grabbed a hold of this?
Yeah.
Why? You didn't know it was hot? Here you go. Hold on to this. Hold on to the ice. Okay? That'll make it feel better, okay? Can you give us thumbs up? No? Oh, okay, so you're gonna make it? You're gonna survive?
Meanwhile.
Hey, the main characters in the story we want to tell, you have Abigail, you have David, and you have Nepal. Nepal means idiot, if you want to know. David is the second king to an amazing country, and Abigail is the mediator between the two. If you've seen the movie Twilight...
Edward?
If you ever touch her against her will again...
Don't do this!
She's not sure what she wants.
Don't do this!
Let me give you a clue. Wait for her to say the words.
It has nothing to do with that, actually. Zero things, but it felt like that kind of setup. Currently outside the building, the school where Unlocked Church meets, the city shut us down. We were going to meet, but they called us and said, ain't happening, and here's why. I'm gonna demonstrate how deep the snow is by using a couple of 5'2" individuals to demonstrate that. So let's get them in spot now. And there they are, right back there. They're demonstrating how, it's just a pile of snow. Look at this. Look how high this is. That's their foot. They're climbing on the pile. There's no getting into the parking lot here. That's the school. It's the most snow you've ever seen in your life.
We should just have church outside.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Good morning.
How you doing, Chris?
This is if it wasn't for the wind, this would be a beautiful day.
Yeah. The wind is making it brutal for sure.
It's a little brisk.
It is. We were really gonna have service, weren't we?
We really were. We had talked about it. We had some texts going around yesterday trying to figure out, hey, kind of where we at with things, kind of knowing that the storm was gonna come. It wasn't gonna change. It was still coming down. A lot of us conversation going, hey, you know, Minneapolis, they got the roads figured out. The plows are gonna be working 24 hours. We've got a great city crew who just works all night to just make things happen. And you can look out here today and you can see that the roads really do look like they're in good condition. Parking lot's a different story though. Yeah, I'm not even sure a monster truck could get through some of this stuff today.
Okay, we're gonna go check on the church trailer really quick and see how that is, but we gotta go over this big drift here. We made the long truck across the parking lot. The camera's actually sitting on the church trailer here. We'll let you see the condition of this.
So yesterday was a great example of when we think about what happens when things happen that are out of our control. Obviously, we didn't ask for Mother Nature to dump a foot of snow on the Twin Cities in the middle of April.
Hey, how we doing? We're just recording in the blizzard.
Oh, nice.
How you doing, Daryl?
I'm pretty good.
Are you surprised to see us?
Yeah.
We gotta document this any way we can, Daryl.
You bet.
A few inches later.
So we didn't obviously ask for Mother Nature to drop a foot of snow on the Twin Cities here on April 14th in mid-April in spring in Minnesota, but it happened. We didn't ask for the city of Maple Grove to shut down all government buildings, which locks us out of school, which therefore prevents us from being able to hold a service here today. As the adage goes, we can make lemonade out of lemons, and that's exactly what we're doing here today. We're taking an opportunity to connect with you under the conditions that we have, to be able to reach out to you and tell you a story that we hope connects with you in a way that it gets you to think about reacting versus responding.
Story that we're talking about with Abigail and David, that story is a tremendous story because of the characters that are in it. Here's the setup. David has his mighty men, warriors if you would, with him, and they are guarding this guy named Nepal's equipment, his property, his sheep, his shepherds. Because in the days of this story, thousands of years ago, these people would live in the middle like nomads. This story that we're talking about is a tremendous story because of the characters that are in it. I've already set it up: David, Abigail, and Nepal. Nepal is a very wealthy man. He has shepherds, he has employees. He's like a CEO of his own operation of shepherds. Now David is a war. Okay, I realize that it's getting long. We're gonna speed it up here by telling the story. Here, David is the warrior, the nomad, traveling from cave to cave in those days with his mighty men. And while he was in an area by Carmel, he was guarding Nepal's things. Nepal never asked him to do these things. David just simply did it because that was the character of David. He saw a need and met a need, and so he protected all of these shepherds. It came time in the year where the sheep were going to be sheared, and David knew that meant for Nepal that was a season of wealth because he was going to turn in all the wool and get money and get food. And so David thought, we're in need right now, and let's approach Nepal and ask him for his goods. And so David sends a few of his men to Nepal to ask. The men show up to Nepal. Nepal was appalled, play on words there, by these men and told them, turn away. You're no different than anybody else that leads a great master and now becomes a renegade of the land, taking whatever they want. I'm not helping you, so go back to David, the son of Jesse. Tell him, not a chance. This absolutely maddened David. He could not understand Nepal. In all his wealth, couldn't spare one bit of anything. So David decided to rally his troops. They picked up their swords and all of their weapons. He left a portion back to protect their goods and went down the path back to Nepal, but this time to destroy everyone. David here is reacting instead of responding. David is exploding. He's going to take vengeance. But this is totally different in the story of David. Up to this point, we've seen a young man pause, ask question, what is the wise thing to do here? How should I treat people? But we see David angered by the lack of respect towards himself. Whereas before, as a young man, we only saw the lack of respect that angered him when it was towards his God. And here's David amped about his lack of respect and is going to go kill an entire village of people. Are you a responder or a reactor? What category do you fall in? Now let's jump back into today's vlog. David's about to make a mess of the situation. He says, get your men saddled up and let's get going. My fear in this is the outcome of what could happen in a story where David decides to take matters in his own hands. It's a bit like this storm. We were told all week, oh, maybe 3 inches here, a little bit of wind, and then all of a sudden we get pounded. Some of these drifts you've already seen, they're so deep. It makes everything a lot more difficult to do. But if you don't react to it and you respond, I suppose life can stay good. It's the problem when we decide to react. When we react to life, it gets super messy because we're reacting in life instead of responding. Reacting is to explode, and respond is to take a moment, a pause, and think. So here we're trying to really set up the idea of you can react or respond. And in moments like that, you could have everybody fighting back there, and that would be reacting, just blowing up. It's like gasoline to oil, or gasoline to a fire. Or responding is take a moment to think about what you're about to do, and we see David reacting here, which is uncharacteristic of David. And David grabs his men and he heads down this road that leads back to Nepal's house. And he's stopped by a woman that's about to say some profound things. And this is where we need to listen, because this is not a made-up story. This is a true account of King David in a moment in his life where he's about to ruin his reputation by reacting.
Man, isn't this awesome? I don't know about you, but as I read in 1 Samuel, I am picturing... That was unexpected.
Lily has come and said that this is really trying her patience shooting like this.
Not really.
We're really trying to make this cinematic.
It takes a lot. It takes
does.
a lot, but it's worth it for you guys, for who's ever watching. It really is. It really is worth it.
So we're gonna reset that up, and we're gonna reset the music and have her walk back in and get you re-engaged.
And if snow falls on my head, I'm gonna just keep going, okay? So that's your cue to just continue to pay attention.
Let's go.
Man, I don't know about you, but when I read this story, I am picturing Abigail meeting David on the path like this. It's in the back country, It's cold, it's snowy, and that's what I'm picturing. Abigail going out of her way to find David, to potentially stop him from making a huge decision. David is on his way to make the biggest mistake he could potentially make in his life, is to murder Nabal. And Abigail does all that she can to find him on this path, and she stops him, comes in the way of him and says, hey, stop. Don't you know who you are? Don't you know your reputation? You are a man of God. Yes, you are a mighty warrior, but you have done great things in the name of the Lord. And don't you think that if you go and murder Nabal, that all of that will be banished? All of that will be gone. So she's saying you need to uphold that. You need to continue who you are as a man of God. Don't you know that God can do great things in you, David? Abigail says to David, even when you are chased by those who seek to kill you, your life is safe in the care of the Lord your God, secure in his treasure pouch. But the lives of your enemies will disappear like stones shot from a sling. So Abigail stops David, and she reminds him of his past. That he was once a young man who relied on God, who trusted God with his life. David even had an opportunity to slay a giant. That's right, when David was a young man, probably just a young teenager, he stopped a giant. He killed this huge giant named Goliath, not with a huge rifle or a big sword. No, David had a slingshot, and it was against all odds. Everyone thought David would just die right then and there, but by the power of God, because David trusted God, he was able to use a small slingshot to kill a giant. And that's what Abigail came to remind him of. Don't you know who you are? You are a man who trusts in the Lord. And because you do, he makes amazing things happen. You see, David was known as being a warrior. He was known for leading armies. He was known for being a powerful man, but he also is known for being a man of God. And David knew that too, and I think it's easy for us, just like David, to get to a spot where that can become a little blind at sometimes. David was at a crossroads. He was about to make a huge mistake, and he had the ability to go and do that. But then he also had the ability to say, do I trust God? Do I trust God with my life? And David was known also for being a man after God's own heart. David says, I'll do anything you ask me to do. But David was also a human. He was at a spot where he could go and make this huge mistake. But wait till you see what happens just because Abigail says, don't you know who you are?
A story that's unfolding today on a path similar to this. Think about the paths that Abigail had to fight through. I know Lily made a point to it, but I gotta assume in those days paths were like this. And she doesn't know David, but she's willing to fight for David to keep him from making a mistake of reacting versus responding. And that's what we want to be Abigail for you right now. We want to step in and say, hold on, it's better to respond than to react. I love how Abigail, she reminds David she reminds David of a simple fact, and that is this, that he is not known for his mighty fists and his swords or his mighty men. He is known more for his desire to please God. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Acts 13, chapter 22. Says, I found David, the son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He'll do everything I want him to do. That's God talking about David. And David didn't get that title because he reacted. He got that title because he responded. Isn't that the goal? Is that at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, it's not about how many toys we have and bank account stuff. It's really what's God going to say about you when it's all said and done. Is he going to say that you're a man or a woman after his own heart? Is he going to say that you're a reactor or a responder? That's the question. Now, this ancient story that we are giving you today doesn't end there, because David has to make a decision. Does he change his current path that he's on of destruction? David decides to turn back. He decides to go back because he remembered who he really was. we're gonna ask the tough question, are you a responder or a reactor? Would people look at you and go, no, they're really explosive. They blow up, then they give up. Our hope is today is to inspire you where you are and to become a responder, not a reactor. Because after all, even today, we could have chosen to react to this whole situation. No church today, snow, we could have just not done anything. Instead, we're deciding to shoot this video to inspire and leverage a storm to ask you, will you be a David in the story or will you be a Nepal? Remember what Nepal's name is? Remember what it stands for? Remember? We could have chosen to freak out by this storm and complain, oh, it's a blizzard in April. It's a blizzard in April, we could say. We could complain, and maybe we have all the reasons to do that, or we can leverage it to teach a point like this. I really hope we said something that is making you think and making a better decision in your life. Always on this YouTube channel, we want to inspire you right where you are. That's the simple goal. We don't want to ever forget that every setback is a setup for something God wants to do in our lives. Hey, if you're still watching to this point, would you give us a thumbs up and subscribe? We're always trying to tell stories like this and inspire you right where you are. Well, I'm gonna go enjoy a hot cup of apple cider. Thanks, guys.